On the Wake Up Radio presents The Center with your host, DC Radical One.
Greetings, Black family, and welcome to On the Wake Up Radio. I am your host, DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. Shout out to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. You can check us out on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio at On the Wake Up Radio. Also, you can check us out at onthewakeupradio.com. And also, you can find additional content by myself at otwtube.com. That is otwtube.com. And Brother You Got Ripped Off says that I have not started the banner. Appreciate that, brother, because this was kind of a last minute decision and will be a relatively short live stream. I had actually planned to have some sisters speak last night, but I did not get the variety of sisters and the type of response that I wanted. So I decided to scrap that and then just deal with today's topic and table the sister discussion for another day, where I can get the variety of sisters that I want. I was looking for a variety of ages and also a variety of relationship statuses. And the sisters that were interested were all, with the exception of one who kind of noticed late. They were older, around the same age. So that is why we're here today. But the reason we're here today this early, and I won't be that long, is because I actually have somewhere to go and something to do. I have some business to take care of. So of course I see our wonderful producers here. Greetings to our wonderful producer, BB48 Straight Black Pride, Brother Elijah, BB48, you got ripped off. I thought I saw Brother Patrick in the building, unless I was mistaken. Let's go. Okay. Yeah, Peace and Black Power, Straight Black Pride to Brother Patrick as well. And so everybody see in the chat. So let's get started. And also, don't forget to smash the like button as you come in. Yeah, I see you, Brother Patrick. I didn't see you at first. Don't forget to smash the like button as you come in. And also, I'd like to thank all the new subscribers, even though I don't necessarily see the new subscribers here thus far, but our subscriptions to the channel have gone up a lot, and we're creeping up on the 250 mark. So my goal was to at least try to get 500 this year. And so we're kind of right there, because I believe we're nearing the halfway point of the year, and we're nearing halfway of 500. So I think I have Brother Genie to thank for that. Definitely had a lot of subscribers come in since that show. And the reason I haven't done anything since that show is because, of course, we had the Straight Black Love Day cookout last Sunday. And I thought I'd be able to take some time away after that, but that turned out not to be the case, much to my dismay. So been a very hectic last couple of weeks, both preparing for the cookout, which went very well. We had free food for the community, and we had a good turnout, and it was uneventful. Had a misunderstanding as far as the location we were at. Had a misunderstanding with some people as far as it being already being reserved, but other than that, everything went well, and that was small. So what I wanted to talk about today, and again, don't forget to smash the like button, and also you can follow me on Instagram for those who are not following me on Instagram at dc.radical, the numeral 1, and on Twitter at dc_radical_ONE. And if you look along the bottom, the email should be along the bottom as well. And the Cash App is $DC Radical 1, all one word. I want to talk a little bit about this Derek Chauvin case. And I want to talk about the Derek Chauvin case leading into, and sorry about that noise, leading into something else that happened recently. And I don't have that case up in front of me, but I will actually do a video for the second case. And so, as we know, Derek Chauvin received 22.5 years for the murder of George Floyd. And I just wanted to see what people thought of that. I was trying to think of, I can't recall any case. Greetings 777-9311. I can't recall any case of police officers receiving more time for brutality against a black man. Brother Patrick, let me know what was the result of the Abner Louima case? Like, what type of time did they get? Because I can't remember, but I know that I know you remember the case, so you may know, or you may remember the outcome. But I don't remember, being completely honest, any police officer getting more time for brutality against a black person. I know way back in the day, Rodney King, people didn't get anything. They didn't get anything. Yeah, they were not guilty. That's why LA happened. I had a flashback. I was like, wait a minute, nothing. Yeah, they didn't get anything. I'm trying to think of the major cases. I can't remember what happened in the Sean Bell case. I don't think anything happened with what was it, Amadou Louima? Amadou Diallo? I'm getting names mixed up. But the point being is, even though I don't consider it a victory, it was a landmark decision. He said the cop got 33 years For which case, brother? Because wow, that I don't know how I missed that. Like literally, the only cases I remember where there was really real justice was James Byrd, and of course, you know, 2 of the 3 people in the James Byrd case were executed. And though no one will ever admit it, I always attribute that to the work of Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad and the new Black Panther Party of that era, because they went down to Jasper, Texas. And I've talked about this before. And they pretty much made the statement that you have justice the easy way or the hard way. But again, that was a totally different case because those people were not law enforcement connected, and the system was willing to sacrifice them. And they did. They 2 of them have already been executed. Okay, brother Patrick says 1 cop got 33 years in the Admiral Women case. Okay, all right. Well, if that's the case, then that means that Derek Chauvin, without question, got off like that. The Admiral Women survived, and George Floyd suffered a long and excruciating death. So our comparative analysis says that wasn't really justice today, if that's the case, right? So but that gives us a good 1-to-1 comparison, I believe, because that was a national case in a heinous crime, and it was that was the era before social media, so it wasn't something that everybody saw, but it was so big that everyone heard about it anyway. Of course, that was in New York. I was in DC at that time. And so, yeah, we heard about it down here. People heard about it everywhere. And it's so long ago, I don't even remember what year that was. I have no clue what year that was. But so this goes to show then that that Chauvin got off easy. And of course, the other people who, I guess their cases haven't been adjudicated, the other 2 or 3 officers, I can't really recall, their cases have not been adjudicated. And so without question, because they didn't actually murder George Floyd, their sentences will undoubtedly be less. But what I wanted to do real quick, I wanted to just play the clip that I found. It's only like 2-3 minute clip where the family is talking to George Floyd. And, at sentencing, one of the things they do is they allow the family to speak about the impact of the crime on the family. So I'm going to play that, and then we're going to talk a little bit about that case. And Brother Patrick said Admiral Wing was in 1999. All right, thank you for that, brother. So we're going to play this clip real quick, and then we'll come back.
Was murdered.
Derek Chauvin almost emotionless as George Floyd's brother struggled to ask what still torments him.
I wanted to know from the man himself, why? What were you thinking? What was going through your head when you had your knee on my brother's neck?
7-year-old Gianna said her dad's spirit was still around her.
I miss you and I love you.
Philonis said he still wrestles with nightmares.
For an entire year, I had to relive George being tortured to death.
The family impact of Floyd's murder, part of the sentencing, and for a first time from Chauvin's family, his mother defending her son.
My son's identity has also been reduced to that as a racist. None of these things are true, and that my son is a good man.
For more than a year, Chauvin has shown no remorse. He broke his silence today, but didn't apologize.
I want to give my condolences to the Floyd family. There's going to be some other information in the future that would be of interest.
He didn't explain, but he and 3 other officers face new and separate federal charges this fall. Judge Cahill said his ruling was not influenced by sympathy or public opinion.
The court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months.
That's 22 and a half years, less than what prosecutors wanted, 30 years, but a step ahead in a painful and exhausting battle for justice.
It's a start. I mean, you have to ask the question, is 22 years worth somebody's life?
Moving forward, what do we need to do or what needs to happen so we no longer have to go through this no more?
Today represents an opportunity to be a turning point in America. One down, 3 to go.
But many are left wondering, will America seize the opportunity?
So, Susan, the sentencing, obviously a significant milestone, but what's coming next?
Yeah, the next tough part. I mean, a policing reform act is still stuck in Congress. Multiple cities are debating whether to make changes to funding the police. And then there are the 3 trials of the other officers coming next year, and those may be more difficult to prosecute. So civil rights activists, they're empowered, but they're anxious to keep this momentum going in.
Thanks, Susan.
Now, I had forgot that Ben Crump was at the end of that, but I should have known. Somebody said that emotionless beast. Yeah, it's very interesting that they noted that he has shown Chauvin, that is, has shown no remorse, and it's just so weird, man. These quote unquote people, they show us who they are through their actions, not just when they murder us and brutalize us, but their reaction to murdering and brutalizing us. Now, this is a man who, the whole world saw him just kneeling on a man's neck for no reason whatsoever, brutalizing a man for no reason. Now, he's going to say that some other evidence will come out later on, and maybe it will. Who knows what that evidence is or what he thinks it will show. But the reality of the situation is, as a police officer, if you wanted to detain the man for a crime, he was detained already before you ever put him on the ground. So there was no reason to do that. If you wanted to take him in, and you can't take him in while he's on the ground, you have to take him in a vehicle. So I'm not really sure what evidence he thinks he has. He violated all police procedure. He did it in front of the whole world. And the delusion, man, of this person, this beast, and the lack of remorse that he showed, and to get his mother up there and have her talk about he's not racist. Okay, let's say he's not racist. Then he even has even less reason to be brutalizing this man, because George Floyd was prone. He could not resist in any way, shape, or form. If he was going to resist, he would have resisted before, right? He would have, because George Floyd is like, 6'6", 6'7". He could have picked up Derek Chauvin and choke slammed him. He could have picked him up and threw him through the door of the corner store if he want, what I'm saying? If he was going to be a threat, like a man that's 6'7" and 230, 40 pounds, if he wants to be a threat, you're going to know it immediately, and you're going to have to shoot him, because he can pick you up and toss you around, because he's 6'7" and 240 pounds. Plain and simple. So the idea that there's some justifiable reason to do what they did in the manner that they did has to be one of those most ridiculous things I can think of. But what it shows us is the mentality of the people that we're dealing with, that not only our murder, but us being brutalized, there's always a justification in the minds of these beasts. There's always a reason. There's always a justification. There's always, in their mind, there's always a thought that I did the right thing. When I shot this person, I did the right thing. When I tortured them, or when I choked them out, or whatever the case is, some type of way, is always our fault. There's always a justified reason. And of course, we know Dr. Welsden talked about this in ISIS papers, and the fact that in the subconscious of the European male, the black man is never unarmed because he's armed with his genetic potential. And while I believe that some of that is true, and some of it is just the nature of these people and their origin in the caves, and their anti-life essence. You know, the nature of the European is to destroy and just rape and pillage and just, I mean, the history has shown it. We know this. And this shows it, right? But I want to bring up another story, and I didn't have a chance to find it to bring it up, but this just shows the type of people we're dealing with. It says shameful George Floyd statues unveiled for Juneteenth vandalized in New York City and New Jersey. So here we are looking for, I mean, we just celebrated Juneteenth, and you just celebrated Juneteenth, right? And they just put these statues up, and the first thing people want to do is vandalize the statue. Like, the statues haven't been up in the grand scheme of things 5 minutes, and they want to, well, they didn't want to, they did. They vandalized the statue. For what reason? It's so deep when you think about it, right? Because here we are. Like, this whole thing is really crazy when you think about it. A man is killed. So one of the few ways that we get a statue, it gets immortalized for getting killed, right? George Floyd, let's be honest, during his life, wasn't some type of revolutionary freedom fighter. George Floyd wasn't putting in work on the police. George Floyd wasn't, as far as I know, now somebody correct me, like wasn't part of, new civil rights movement or anything like that. So he has statues because he was killed. So really, he didn't do anything to white people. Let me see if I can bring this story up real quick. All right. Okay. Here we go. You can bring it up real quick like that. But with all that being said, they found a way to have him ordered. So how can I put it? Someone took offense at the statue, even though the man was killed. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't rob a bank. You understand what I'm saying? He did nothing to offend anyone. And yet dying and having a statue placed for dying is still offensive enough for someone to vandalize the statue, right? All right, so let's check it out. It says 2 statues of George Floyd recently unveiled to mark Juneteenth were vandalized this week, and the New York Police Department is investigating one incident as a hate crime. 4 people, how do they know 4 people? Okay, that's interesting. 4 people defaced a 6-foot wooden sculpture of Floyd's head in Brooklyn just before 4 a.m. So my Brooklyn people, I guess y'all need to be on the lookout for these people. The suspects covered the monument with black spray paint and stenciled words referencing a group the Southern Poverty Law Center defines as a white nationalist hate group. Police released surveillance video of the suspects approaching and leaving the area with cans of spray paint and called for the public's help in identifying them. George Floyd's brother Terrence, local elected officials, and others unveiled the statue by artist Chris Carnabucci. That sounds like a European. As part of a Juneteenth rally. The statue was expected to be on display at Brooklyn's Flatbush Junction for several weeks before moving to Union Square in Manhattan, according to the office of New York Council member Farrah Lewis. So, that's interesting. If you look further down on the page, George Floyd's brother is speaking, and he's wearing a George Floyd shirt, but there seemed to be some type of rainbow pattern to the George Floyd shirt. Interesting. And brother, you got ripped off said just like Emmett Till's memorial. Right. These people hate us so much that they get offended that we die, even though they're the one that killed us. Let's think about how crazy this is for a minute, right? The more I think about it, the more ridiculous and sickening it is, and shows when Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad said that we cannot live with these people in peace, this is what he means. You can't even die without being disrespected, right? Man dead, ain't coming back. Nothing else he can do. He got killed. He laid there, and in essence, in reality, for the most part, let the white man kill him, and that's still not enough for white people. They still mad. So that just shows the type of insanity that we have to deal with, right? So the reason I brought that up, and I saw somebody, it's Brother Patrick. Brother Patrick talked about it. He beat me to the punch. The reason I talked about it is because I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to set the scene for that because something else took place I believe this week. And I'm going to bring it up. And we're going to talk about it because what's interesting about this case is that come to find out that this person in this case is relatively known in the community. And when I say in the community, in like quote unquote conscious community. And so when I saw people talking about the case, I hadn't heard anything about it. And so somebody's like, yeah, have you heard about this? And I'm like, no, I have not. And then they told me who he was and, some of the connections he had. So it says, police on Saturday arrested the man suspected of shooting a Daytona Beach police officer in the head earlier this week, leaving the officer in critical condition and launching a days-long manhunt. Police Chief Jakari Young said at an early Saturday press conference that the suspect, identified as Otho Wallace, was captured while hiding in a treehouse in DeKalb County, east of Atlanta. Says Wallace was found in a remote wooded area with multiple weapons, ammunition, and body armor. Now we get to the part, right? The property. This is what they're reporting. I cannot verify this information. This is what the police are reporting. The next part. So this is the police reporting this. This is not me. Says the property where Wallace was found is affiliated with the pro-gun group known as NFAC, an organization known to demonstrate against white supremacy and police violence. Young said Wallace was being held in Georgia on Saturday morning, but would be returned to Volusia County, Florida, and held on a charge of attempted first-degree murder of a law enforcement official. Young credited surveillance and technology for leading them to Wallace, while the reward for information leading to Wallace's capture was raised to $200,000. Young said no one was qualified for the reward. Meanwhile, the injured officer, Jason Rayner, 26, continued his recovery. Young said that there was very positive signs of improvement. Rayner was out of surgery on Thursday, according to a statement from the Daytona Beach Police Department. And then they say that surgery was successful. Why am I bringing this case up? Because literally every interaction between a black man and the police could potentially go one of two ways. If you are fortunate, the interaction with the police can leave you with a ticket or a knock on the door to tell you to turn your music down. That's if you're fortunate. Or you get in an accident and they get your insurance information. If you're unfortunate, you're George Floyd. If you are unfortunate and your reflexes are quick enough and you're armed, you're this brother, Brother O. In the grand scheme of things, if you have a choice as a black man between being George Floyd and Brother O, everyone here would choose to be Brother O. As Ice Cube once said, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Now, Brother O defended himself against police terrorism. How can you say he defended himself against police terrorism, brother? You weren't there. Well, as a black man who was minding his own business because the police approached him and then called in to say, he sees a suspicious person. The man is in his vehicle, which is his property. And his vehicle was, from my understanding, on the property of family. So if I'm in my vehicle, which is my property, and then the vehicle is on the property of family, how can I be suspicious where I am minding my own business? Except I'm only suspicious because I'm black. So even though George Floyd was murdered and Derek Chauvin received a 22.5-year sentence, which he'll probably serve less, unless the federal charges come in and up the ante. The police still think that a black man sitting in his vehicle is suspicious. How can I be suspicious if I'm sitting in a vehicle, which the only way you can drive a vehicle sitting in it, maybe I'm getting ready to drive off. Maybe I'm not getting ready to drive off. Maybe I'm on the phone. Maybe I have TVs in my vehicle and I'm watching TV. The point is, there's no reason for the police to approach me about anything. And of course, they say that they have some video, and I'm going to make a short form video about this whole case when I get more information. But they claim they have the video, either the dash cam video, I think it's a dash cam video, but it seems like it starts after the fact, right? But the question is, why is the police asking this man or talking to this man or stopping this man at all? Why are you bothering me? That's the question. They're going to give the narrative that, oh, he reacted irrationally or whatever the case, or they're going to use his connections, possible connections with NFAC and whoever else he may be connected with, that I've heard some information through the grapevine, but I have not verified it because I don't know the brother. Be before there to Sister Vanessa. Be before there, peace and blessings to Brother Crow. So since I haven't verified that information, I'm not going to speak on the information till I have some things verified. But in the grand scheme of things, is it not rational for a man who comes from a people who have been brutalized by the police and have made an issue of it publicly for at least 60 years? I've shown clips here on this show of Malcolm X talking about police brutality in 1962. It's 2021. So it is a rational decision for any black man to think, I fear for my life. The police have been brutalizing black people. This police officer is here in front of me, asking me questions for no reason. I'm minding my own business. I am a member of a black organization, or as they're saying it now, maybe he's not. I have some type of let's say his Facebook has some type of affiliation with black organizations, because the police know this stuff, right? So if that's the case, why would I not fear for my life? Right? If they're saying this now, that means that they've seen something on his social media, or there's something about him, or the police have done some type of investigation, because they came up with that too quick. So if that's the case, and I know that, I have to fear for my life. It's the equivalent. If you're Huey P. Newton in 1967 and the police are behind you, you're going to think, it's going to be a rough day. You would like to be able to have the interaction with the police and tell them, I'm driving on my way. Or in this case, I'm sitting in my vehicle, sir. How can I help you? Well, why are you sitting in your vehicle? Let's think about how this interaction could have gone, because we don't know. The brother's sitting in his vehicle. The police come up and say, we have a report of a suspicious person. How am I suspicious when I'm sitting in my vehicle? Well, again, there's no logical answer that the police are going to give. Whenever you ask police questions that they can't answer, that's when they get aggressive. We've all interacted with police. If you've ever asked them something that they can't answer, that makes them look like a fool for even interacting with you, that's when they get aggressive. Or that's when they threaten you. I know, because I've had that interaction. As soon as you ask them a question they can't answer, first thing they start talking about, well, maybe we'll take it down to the police station. Again, you have no reason to stop me and interact with me here. What justification do you have to interact with me at the police station in your custody? Right? These are how these things go. If you're a black man in America, you've been through this. If you're in New York, you've been stopped walking. Everywhere else, you probably have been stopped driving. Right? Oh, we have actual trolls in the building. Brother, you got ripped off? Have at it. So we all have dealt with this for 3, 4, 5 generations. If you have a father, maybe your father had told you stories. Your grandfather even has told you stories, right? You understand what you're dealing with when you're interacting with quote unquote law enforcement. We all know that can go left quickly. So in this situation, in Florida, where every weapon that the brother had is registered and legal, and he has the right to stand his ground, the castle doctrine that everyone in America is familiar with now because of the murder of Trayvon Martin. The question isn't, did Brother O act irrationally? The question is, why did the police bother him in the first place in his vehicle, which is his property? That's the question that no one is going to ask, because, again, when you ask police questions they can't answer, they want to get aggressive. Right? And I wanted to talk about these two because these things are interrelated. Every interaction with the police for a black man can possibly, though hopefully not, end up in one of these two extremes. him or me, right? It's not even fight or flight because George Floyd, there was no flight, there was no fight. There was only dead. There's only death for him. This situation, we don't know the prelude, but Brother O, still remembering George Floyd, case still fresh in his mind, like, I'm not going out like George Floyd. I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know what is on this race soldier's mind. This looks like a police officer, but it could be a terrorist wearing a police uniform. He is harassing me for no reason and is not following police protocol. I have reason to believe this is actually not a police officer, but is indeed a white supremacist terrorist who wants to kill me. And I'm going to defend myself based upon the law, right? I'm going to defend myself using my Second Amendment constitutional rights to be legally armed, and I fear for my life. The people are masquerading as police and terrorizing Black people. I am not sure if this person is a police officer because he's not following police procedure in Florida, because my property, I am allowed to sit in peacefully and I'm being harassed. This is not the actions of a normal police officer. I suspect this could be a terrorist. I have to act quickly or I may be killed. That's the decision that Brother O made. They're going to say he acted irrationally, but we just had the discussion. Is that irrational behavior based upon the history of terrorists masquerading as police officers? And in fact, this goes so far back that a KKK member told Elijah Muhammad in the 60s that this was the plan of the KKK, to infiltrate the police department. Here we are in 2021 trying to figure out, why do we still have a problem with the police? Because the police and the KKK are literally the same people. So it's a white supremacist terrorist from what we can see. Could be wrong. But one of the ways you find out whether or not a person is a white supremacist terrorist is to get killed by them. And that's not really a good option. Brother, you got ripped off says, I believe in Florida, a vehicle is considered an extension of your home. So yes, anyone intruding is breaking and entering and you're justified to shoot. Well, there it is. Castle doctrine. Man's home is his castle. Your vehicle is an extension of your home. Thus, person is violating your home. And cut and dry to me. It's kind of simple. But of course, the reason I want to talk about it is because they're going to give us a different story and a different narrative. And like I said, I'm going to make, when I get more information, a short form video of this so that more people can see it and digest it in less time. And Sister Farnessa says this is why that police protection law needs to be abolished. They use it to justify running up on Black people and committing murder. Exactly. And wait a minute. Old Bucknuts and Jim Clyburn said he didn't want them to abolish it. Oh my goodness. That doesn't surprise me, but it still makes my head hurt, you saying that. Because I don't even know how old Jim Clyburn is. If you're not over 30, you probably haven't experienced this, but like, it's always weird when you become an adult and somebody was old when you were a child and they just seem to have just reached a point where they're just old and they stop aging, but they have to be aging because the first time you saw them, you were like 10 and you're 35 and they still have that job, they're still in some type of political office, and you're like, why are they here? And they're even worse than they were when you first saw them or first heard about them or first saw them on the news or heard your father or your grandmother talking about the person. That's Jim Clyburn. Now, he's one of those people, the older he gets, the more of a Negro he becomes. And, you know, when people first talked about him, they talked about him like he was like, talking about him like he was for black people or something. I don't know if he was ever for black people, but as I get older and evolve, it's like, man, this dude is a Negro. Sister Vanessa said Jim Clyburn uses fish fries to garner votes. Doesn't take much about black people, unfortunately. So that doesn't surprise me at all. You got ripped off, said Morgan Freeman. Right, brother. Morgan Freeman was at least middle age when I was a teenager. Was I even a teenager when Lean On Me came out? Is that the movie? And that movie's like 35 years old or something. Morgan Freeman's still here, you know. I ain't got nothing against him, but I think he said something about racism not existing or something. He said one time, some Negro stuff. I was like, really? Okay. I mean, you get a good check. Cool. And then Brother Crow said, I won't be surprised if the police slap the brother with federal charges. I won't be surprised at anything. The reason I want to bring up this case, I was talking to someone and I said, well, if they've arrested him, we have to publicize it and tell his side of the story so that our people can get behind him. And that will kind of lessen the chance of them doing something where he slips and falls in the shower or commits suicide, right? Like they just got the European that does McAfee, the one that does computer security. He just quote unquote committed suicide in Spain. Even though he had a tattoo that says, I will not commit suicide, or if I die, I didn't commit suicide, something to that effect. So, and they still went with the he committed suicide story. So, I mean, that's the elites for you. Before they Straight Black Pride, Brother Desaline, good to see you here, brother. Appreciate you. And our wonderful producer says Clyburn is 80. He turns 81 less than a month. And Brother Kevin says he never was, and he's from my state. He's worse than Tim Scott. Man, Tim Scott, wow. And Tim Scott's the conservative. And he's a complete Negro. I guess Clyburn's worse because people expect him, because he's a Democrat, expect him to be for the people. So he bamboozles the people and then they vote for him. Then he goes, does Negro stuff. Yeah, I guess that makes it worse. And Brother You Got Ripped Off says, why can't R. Kelly commit suicide? Yeah, we are late with, we're late with that. That's all I say. There's still people trying to defend Robert the rapist. I'm like, and I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I just will repeat this again for everyone that wants to try to talk about it's possible that Robert the rapist did not do it or set up or whatever. Robert Kelly married Aaliyah Horton when she was 15 and he was 28. That's it. That's all. He's 28, married a 15-year-old, and he altered the documents. And he did that before all the other stuff. So anyone that wants to sit around and argue about Robert Kelly's innocence or supporting him or any other madness, 28, married a 15-year-old. So just think about your 15-year-old daughter when you try to defend R. Kelly. All right, now back to police murder. And Brother Crow says Clyburn's been bug dancing for years. Yeah, indeed, without question. So that was really the reason I wanted to cover these two things, these polar opposite outcomes of black men's interaction with the police. And it really just shows how every situation between a black man and the police is potential for disaster for everyone involved. And it's not because of black people. Black people don't run around, assaulting police for no reason. In fact, black people barely run around and do anything to police. It's only when things get to the point, right, where we get desperate and we brutalize so much, and it, getting under summer gets hot. You know how it is. And then occasionally some black man, where at one time we organized to resist, occasionally now some black man says, not today. Right? Cosmo September, he said, not today. Michael Xavier Johnson, he said, not today. Christopher Dorner was the police, and he said, not today. And our brother O simply said, not today. Yeah, I'm not going out like that. And from people who I have talked to, this brother had done work in the community. He is he does train with weapons. He is skilled with weapons. He does have training. He does offer that training to the black community, so that black people can learn to defend themselves. Those things happen. He is a believer in the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America, and believes in his rights to defend himself as a citizen of the United States of America. These things are also true. So when they say that he had guns and this and that and ammo and blah, 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 and we found this and that, all of those things are true. And of course, since we know they're true, the question is there anything wrong with a black man in America defending himself? Is there anything wrong with a black man in America having arms in a state where multiple firearms are legal, where ammunition is legal, where defending yourself on your property is legal, right? See, you realize now, the more we talk about this, the less justification for any interaction with the police to take place we find. Brother's mind his business. But because he's black, dark skinned, with locks, he's suspicious. But I suspect, now I can't prove this for sure, but I suspect that the police knew who he was, and they just came to harass him because they knew who he was. Now, I could be wrong. I don't think they had any reason to bother him in reality. But one thing we know for sure, and you're going to hear this word from the police. You're going to hear this. I guarantee you this is going to be part of their narrative. They're going to call him a coward. Right? They're going to call Brother O a coward. But I'll ask you this. Who's more of a coward? The man who defends himself, or the man who dies not resisting? Because we know if it's a European male and he defends himself, he's a hero. So why is the black man who defends himself not a hero? Doesn't matter who you defend yourself against. You're defending yourself. The natural right of any living organism is to continue living until they naturally expire. That's not a right given to you by the law. That's a right given to you by the nature of your existence. So if someone tries to violate the natural right of you to exist, what does Dr. Khaled teach us? We must resist to exist. And Sister Farnessa says they've already called them cowards. See, there it is. They did rip, they run us the same playbook. And then Brother Patrick said they're going to claim that Brother O is a black identity extremist. Absolutely. Oh, no question. Oh, yeah. Because, see, apparently the police officer looks like he may live, so they can't call him a cop killer. Because, they like to throw that word around like, like black people just run around like Jason Voorhees, just, macheting cops' heads off or something. Whenever the police do something, somebody shoots back. Then, because that person has better aim, they're a cop killer. If the police have better aim, you're just dead. You're a criminal then, right? So that's how that works. So with that, brothers and sisters, that's really all I wanted to cover. See, our brother Dawood just came in the building as I'm about to leave. I have business to attend to, and I have half an hour to get ready. Again, I thank you all for this live stream. Be sure to make sure you smash the like button. Be sure to subscribe. And this one, be sure to spread it amongst your friends and family and discuss this and leave comments if you think that I'm incorrect. But again, I believe that our brother O defended himself. And he chose to not go out like George Floyd. He chose to show black people that, hey, you don't have to lay on the ground dying for 10 minutes or begging for help while dozens or, whatever number of people it was stand there and watch you die. But there's another option. And we should do everything we can to support this brother. And I'm going to get more information, see where we can send money and try to, we know he's not going to get bail, but for his legal fund and everything like that. Because this is what we can't do before I go. We cannot, as a people, sit around and say, I wish somebody would do something about this. I wish somebody would resist. I wish somebody would show the police they can't mess with us. I wish somebody would blah, 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 blah. All the things that we say. This stuff got to stop. Somebody got to do something. And then when somebody does something, then we don't support them and we just let them rot in jail or get killed. Right? That's what we can't do as a people. We can't ask for people to do something when somebody does something. We act like we don't know them. Oh, no, I don't know them. No, I don't. Right? This brother was doing work in the community. From everything I've heard, this is a real brother doing real work in the community, working with the children, training out people to defend themselves. And he was minding his business, and the officer comes and harass him for no reason. And he got what he was looking for. He wanted somebody suspicious. I wasn't suspicious. But I could be suspicious. Leave me alone. I'm minding my business. I'm on my property. I'm in my vehicle. I'm not doing anything. And you're acting out of order as a police officer. So I have to assume that you're a white supremacist terrorist because you're not acting as a police officer because you're not following police protocol. Because I'm not doing anything. And normally when people aren't doing anything, the police don't bother them. Because it's not the police job to bother people who aren't doing anything. See how this works? So I have, as a black man who's well-trained, I have made the assessment that you're a terrorist in police uniform. Could be wrong, but I can't risk my life guessing. Hey. And as Ice Cube said, rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. With that, brothers and sisters, I appreciate you all for listening. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Be sure to check the replay be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Again, I am your brother, DC Radical 1. This is The Center Live. Normally, we're on every Sunday at 2 p.m. This was a special time, a special case, special broadcast. Follow me live on Instagram at DC.radical1, on Twitter at DC_radical_ONE. The Cash App is $DC Radical 1. Of course, this is the YouTube, capital D, small c, Radical 1. And the email is DC.radical_1 at protonmail.com. Again, I appreciate you all for your support. And thank you, brother. You got ripped off for the Cash App. Wanted to make special mention of that. And with that, I say a BB for ODA and straight black pride.